Welcome to the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you take the first steps on your fitness journey. Whether you're new to working out or you're looking to get back into it, we've got you covered with tips, tricks, and inspiration to help you reach your goals. So grab your workout gear and let's get started. All right, and we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mack to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. Today is 4th of July, so I have to say happy 4th of July to everybody out there. If you're in the States, if you're not in the States, still happy 4th of July. I didn't get to do the podcast yesterday, so we're going to hop on here today and do it. We still got a good one for y'all today, though, and today's topic is Zone 2 training. And you may not even know what Zone 2 training is. So that's why we're going to explain it today. Because honestly, I didn't know what it was. Before I started training for the triathlon and doing more endurance training, I honestly had no clue what it was. And now that I'm doing all this endurance training, I've had to learn a lot about it. So I'm going here and basically tell y'all everything I've learned about Zone 2 training so far when it comes to all the training that I've been doing lately. But first and foremost, before I hop into the podcast, before I hop into the quick tip for the week, I wanted to mention there's a Facebook group on Facebook's called Ready, Set, Goal. And this is a group, it originally kind of started out as a group for people that wanted to train in triathlons or endurance training, but now it's kind of morphed into more of just an overall positive group to where you can surround yourself with like-minded individuals for basically any kind of workouts, any kind of positive encouragement. So a lot of people in there training for triathlons, you kind of just post your workouts in there, or you can find somebody to work out with in there. If you have long training sessions or something like that you want to do it with somebody, it's a lot better to have somebody there with you. So it's just a good way to connect and find people in the local area. It's mainly based out of like the Mobile area, but if you're not Mobile, you can still join just to get some positive encouragement and be surrounded by like-minded individuals. So the name of the group is Ready, Set, Goal, like GOAL. So yeah, y'all check it out on Facebook. If you're looking to get into any kind of training, but more specifically endurance training, just a great place to hang out and have some great motivation. So yeah, with that being said, let's jump into a quick tip for the week. This week it's one that I struggle with that I have to make myself do. So I wanted to share it with y'all how I do it. So this helps with binge eating like snacks. So a lot of times when you buy snacks, you buy them in big bags. Like if you buy a bag of chips, you buy a big bag of chips. Or if you buy, for me, what we've been buying lately is we've been buying them big bags of like trail mix. And I have a problem of just getting the whole bag, taking it to where I'm sitting on the couch and just sitting there munching on it, one handful after another. And then before I know it, I ate half the bag. So with that being said, I've been having to force myself to, when I get the bag or whatever it is I'm eating, I have to pour it into a separate container, like a small container of however much I'm willing to eat. And then I put the big bag back up in the pantry and I eat only what's in that bowl. So this helps me stick to whatever serving size I'm willing to actually eat. Because when you have the big bag, you may not mean to eat a lot, but you don't realize how many you're eating because you're just sitting there watching TV or doing whatever you're doing and you're munching on them. And before you know it, you ate way more than what you intended on eating. So that's why I make myself put into a separate container. This will it'll help you realize how much you're actually eating. Don't necessarily limit yourself to only one bowl or one bag. Like say, yeah, once I finish this bowl, I can go back and get another bowl or another bag, whatever you're putting it in. But most of the time you'll realize after you have that first bowl of snacks, you won't even want to go back and get the second one. Or you'll realize, hey, I probably shouldn't eat that second one, so you won't get it. But if you just have the whole entire bag right there in front of you, you'll probably eat 2 or 3, 4 bowls worth before you know it. And then you're eating way over the amount of calories that you need to be eating. And I know everybody does this because I do this myself. So I've had to put this little trick into my own everyday routine. And it actually helps me a lot. So if you ever get a big bag of chips, bag of trail mix, candy, whatever it is, whatever you can sit there and just munch on out of the bag, start putting a little bit of it into a separate container and then put the big bag back up. And this will help you limit how much you're actually eating in one sitting. So it actually works. If you don't believe me, try it out. You'll be surprised. Don't actually like limit yourself. Don't say, oh, I can only eat this one little bowl and that's it. Like let yourself eat the second bowl. But what you'll find is you won't even want to go back and get that second bowl most of the time. And if you do, Oh well, at least you're still limiting yourself. You're not sitting there eating the whole entire big bag or whatever you're trying to eat. So yeah, that's enough about the quick tip. Let's hop into the main topic today. And the main topic today is zone two training. Zone two training focuses on low intensity exercise to build a strong aerobic base or aerobic foundation. It's an effective method for beginners as it helps to improve cardiovascular health and fat burning without excessive strain. So what is zone two? What is zone two training? Zone two training refers to a specific heart rate range, usually around 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. So that's zone two. So depends on who you ask or where you get your information from, but I would typically say there's 5 zones to your heart rate. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Just depends, but normally it's typically around that. But so the zone two is about 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. So this zone is characterized by comfortable and sustainable effort where you can carry on a conversation without gasping for breath or for air. So, like, say you're running in zone two, you should still be able to hold a conversation with somebody beside you that you're running with without, like, basically dying trying to get air. So, what are the benefits of zone two training? It builds aerobic capacity. So zone two training improves your body's ability to utilize oxygen and it enhancing endurance and stamina. So a lot of endurance athletes use zone two training to train. So the reason I've been using this a lot is because I'm training for a triathlon. I'm trying to build my endurance. So most of like 80% of my training is in zone two. So basically I'm doing very light, easy workouts. For most of my workouts, they're just very long. So I do it for an extended period of time. I don't like run super, super, super hard for 2 hours straight because that's just not realistic. But I will run zone two for 2 hours straight. So zone two is good for fat burning. Exercising in zone two heart rate, it encourages your body to use fat as fuel instead of using like muscle. So it kind of aids in that in weight loss better. Next, it speeds up the recovery. So zone two training promotes blood circulation and it accelerates recovery from intense workouts. So say one day you have a super, super hard workout. Say you did some weights one day, you're really sore. The next day you would want to go on like a zone two run or bike ride or something to help kind of loosen your body up, help your blood flow, blood circulation, things like that. It'll help with your recovery. And zone two training also reduces your risk of injury. So by training at that lower intensity, you reduce the impact on your joints, on your muscles. So this lowers the risk of injury over time and it lowers the amount of that your body has to recover because you're not training so hard. Think about running. Like if you just have a light jog, that's not going to be as hard on your body as if you were sprinting. Sprinting is going to put a lot more impact on your knee, on your ankles, on your hips, things like that. So how do you determine your heart rate zone or zone two heart rate? So you can consult with a fitness professional. There's a lot of people that do like fitness tests in like a lab or something, but that's a little extra. It's a little severe. Maybe you probably only want to do that if you're like a athlete, like a professional athlete or something like that. But the most basic way is just use a heart rate monitor to determine your maximum heart rate, and then you can calculate it from there. So 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate is your zone two range. Most smartwatches nowadays have heart rate monitors, or you can get the little chest strap that goes on your chest for a heart rate monitor. Those are a little more accurate than the wristwatches. So I mean, everybody pretty much has an Apple Watch nowadays, or some kind of smartwatch. It'll basically tell you your heart rate, so you can kind of determine that from there. And then if you record your workouts on your watch, normally they'll have a setting on there. It'll tell you what heart rate zone you're in. So I know on the Apple Watch, for example, if you start a run and then you swipe up one time, like down to the next page of all the different data that it gives you, it'll actually have your heart rate zones on there, and it'll show you which one you're in at that current time. Like it keeps up with it live. So that's kind of what I do when I'm training. I kind of keep track of it that way. And then also you can go back and look at it, look at your data afterwards too, to see what training zones you were in and how long you were in them, things like that. The Apple Fitness app actually tells you a lot of data. It's pretty neat how much data it'll tell you if you go back and look after your workouts. So types of exercises that you can do for zone two training, brisk walking, light jogging, engage in these activities. This will elevate your heart rate within the zone two range. You can even do cycling or a stationary bike. For example, I have a Peloton, so I use that a lot. I do a lot of my training on there. You can adjust the resistance or the gear that you're in to kind of maintain that desired heart rate when you're on the bike. You can also do swimming or rowing. You can perform these activities at a steady pace, focusing on maintaining that zone 2 effort level. So swimming you can do very slow, very light, keeping that zone 2. So any like kind of easy, longer workouts, endurance based workouts are going to be good like zone 2 training. So what I'm doing basically is a lot of my runs I run in zone 2, or if I'm doing like a kind of recovery ride on the bike, I'll do it in zone 2. And then some of my longer like swims and things, you can kind of do them instead of going super, super hard. It's kind of, think of it as like a pace that you could hold for a long time. So like some of you may not be able to run very far or very long, but you could probably walk like a pretty quick walk for an hour or two. So that will kind of be like your zone 2. So tips for zone 2 training: be patient. Zone 2 training takes time to show results. So avoid pushing yourself like too hard, because you're gonna want to go harder at first. You're gonna want to go past that, but you just gotta know that it's gonna pay off if you stay in that lower zone. So monitor your heart rate. Use a heart rate monitor. This way you can stay within your zone during your training workouts. I kind of mentioned this earlier with the Apple Watch. Kind of monitor it throughout your workout and make sure you're not going too hard or going too soft. Listen to your body. If you're feeling fatigued or if you're experiencing pain, it's important to rest or lower the intensity. I mean, obviously, that's kind of just a given. Like if you're hurting, lower it down or maybe take a day off or something to that effect. And then gradually increase your duration over time. So start with shorter workouts and then gradually increase those over time so you can spend more time in that zone 2 training. And this will help you build your endurance. So when I first started training, I was running maybe 30 minutes max for a long time. And now I can go 2 hours plus training because I've just been doing a lot of that zone 2 training, building that endurance over time. So yeah, that's kind of like the basics of zone 2 training. There's not much to it. It's basically just doing long workouts at a light pace or a light effort level. And you'll stay in that zone 2. But zone 2 is it's your heart rate. So it's how many beats per minute that your heart rate is beating. If that makes sense. It's good to stay in that lower heart rate zone to help with recovery and endurance, things like that. So in conclusion, zone 2 training is an effective and safe approach for beginners to improve their fitness and their endurance. But also for more experienced people and kind of those people in between, they can also use zone 2 for very effective workouts. It's not just for beginners. You want to incorporate zone 2 workouts into your routine to enjoy the benefits of increased aerobic capacity. So also to increase fat burning and reduce risk of injury. And then remember to consult with a healthcare professional or a fitness expert before starting any new exercise program. And they can kind of help you with coming up with a good workout routine to where you're not overdoing it or you're not underdoing it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got with zone 2 training. There's not much to it. It's very simple. If you ever run for like a marathon or something like that, you'll come to find out that you're going to do a lot of zone 2 training. I think a lot of people say for these long triathlons or long training events, they say you do 80% of your training in zone 2, and then the other 20% will be in zones higher like 3 or 4 higher than that. It's like those will be your more intense, what they call interval workouts. So you'll do very hard workouts for like a certain amount of time, so certain intervals, and you'll do that multiple times. So that's what you would do over that zone 2 heart rate area. So yeah, that's enough about the podcast. The last bit of the podcast is the motivational quote for the week. And today's motivational fitness quote we have: fitness is not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you used to be. So I'll read it again. Fitness is not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than you used to be. It's about being better than you were yesterday. You got to get 1% better every day. I mean, this quote's kind of common sense, but I think a lot of people try or tend to compare themselves to other people in the gym or other people in their fitness journey, which is why a lot of people get afraid or get scared or they get frustrated or they don't go back to the gym because They're always worried about what somebody else is doing in the gym, or they're worried about what somebody else is thinking. But you just gotta remember this. Everybody in that gym that you think is ahead of you, they all started somewhere too. They started in your same shoes, starting as a beginner or wherever you're at in your fitness journey. They started in the same place and they did the same thing you're doing now. And they just overcame it. They was consistent over time and they stuck with it. So now they're ahead of you if that's what you're thinking. And you'll get there too as long as you stick with it. So you can't just compare yourself. I always like to say you can't compare somebody else's chapter 10 to your chapter 1. Like you're still in chapter 1, they're on chapter 10. You'll get there eventually. You just got to keep flipping the pages, keep being consistent, and you'll get there. Don't worry about what all the big swole meathead dudes are doing in the gym. You'll get there eventually too. You just got to be patient. You got to practice that zone 2 training. But yeah, that's all I got for the podcast today. So I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. Yeah, if y'all got any podcast topics you want me to do, shoot them my way. If you got any questions, please reach out to me on social media. I'm pretty much Murphy McFit on all social medias. That's MurphyMcFit. Or you can just find me at Murphy McCammon on Facebook, things like that. Yeah, y'all reach out to me. I love to help in any way possible. Or if you got a good podcast topic or question, please hit me up and we'll discuss it on the podcast. Hope y'all had a great 4th of July. If you're not in America, then hey, have a good Tuesday. Thank y'all for hanging out. Peace, love, protein. We out. Thanks for tuning in to the Fitness Beginner Podcast. We hope you found today's episode helpful and inspiring. Remember to always start small, set realistic goals, and most importantly, have fun. Don't forget to tune in next week for more tips and advice on how to kickstart your fitness journey. Until then, stay active and stay healthy.